don't nobody want to talk about, but everybody going.
Right.
It's something everybody gonna do.
Right.
Shit,
Taxes and death. Right.
Let's talk about ain't no options in this one though.
No, it's not.
You have a little bit of wiggle room. He wiggling out of that one.
No, man, no.
You're on schedule, Jay.
Exactly. And it costs too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They gotta know that.
Right.
You know, sitting around to the last minute.
Right.
And,
Because at the end of the day, Alabama Power, Spider, and all them, they don't care how big of a heart you got. They want that money.
Yeah, we are here. Welcome to another episode of Barbershop Stories, the podcast. Most people don't want to talk about, but shit, hey, we Barbershop. We gonna talk about it. We got a special guest in here, my neighbor, across the street from the barbershop. Brother Dante Jelks. We got a Sammy No-Nose over to the right on the camera.
Hey, we
keep
that info.
Up there sitting down, so I'm going to go on up here and sit down too, man. Let's go ahead and jump off in this info.
Yes, sir.
What up, Brother Jelks?
Hey, Brother Mac, how's it going, brother?
What's happening?
I don't know, man, about yourself.
What's happening? Good to be seen and not viewed.
You know what to say.
Better doing that time.
For real.
You got that right.
2020, 2021, ain't?
Yeah, you got that right. You know what to
Ain't
say.
the time to be playing.
Nah.
Or being unprepared.
You got that right. Yeah, 2020 taught us a lot about that.
Yeah, man. Life will teach you.
It will.
Not just 2020, but 2020 showing up came through.
You got that right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it really did, man.
Yeah.
It did, brother. I tell you.
I tell you what, it's been a rough climbing, and all we can do is, keep communicating and keep living, keep learning.
That's true.
And do better because we know better now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do better because we know better, man.
Exactly.
Be prepared, like we just said, when the things start rolling.
Right.
Yeah, well, I tell you this, one of my first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm comedic narrator, haircut slanger, Benny Mac, and that's my partner. He gonna introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Sammy No Nose. This is Barbershop Stories, the podcast, episode 65.
Right.
Please subscribe. We keep some info for you.
That's right, and keep in mind too, you can like it, you can watch it, you can share it. We don't mind. Ain't number some good info. Ain't no number good info.
That's it.
All right. Now, Brother Jelks.
Yes, sir.
I gotta ask you this, man. Like, what made you get off into this line of work? Like, cause man, a lot of people scared of the dead, or
They are.
they fearful of it. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Right.
What got you in it?
So I was the odd kid. My dad, cousin owned a funeral home back home where I'm from in Gaston. Mm-hmm. And so I love my mama, but I was a daddy's boy. Doing his lifetime daddy's boy. Where daddy went, I went. So daddy used to help his cousin at the funeral home a lot. So I was with daddy, go to the funeral with him. And back then, you have a lot of rural cemeteries. So dad would dig a lot of graves by hand for the funeral homes and get up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And he would wake me up and I'd go with him. If he didn't wake me up, I'd pitch a fit and cry all day. So I'll get up with him, go dig the graves, and I was just fascinated by, of course, the limos, the caskets, just the whole scenery. And yeah, I was a kid. Funeral home and football. Yeah, right. Funeral home and football. That was my youth right there. And so I used to play funeral home as a child. My little hot rods or whatever. We roll them around, the vans would be hearses, and back then at KB toy stores you could buy limousines, so I would have those and just play funeral home. And then the coolers that we have at home, I'd make those caskets and take the pillows off all the beds and put them around the casket, make them as flowers, and egg cartons, and made those in the caskets, and the ribbons from Christmas, say those, and put a decorator around the egg carton, that would be flowers. So yeah, I was the odd child.
So it's really your calling.
Oh yeah.
Righteous.
Somebody got to do it though.
Exactly.
Well, now only thing about it though, man, I never knew you were gonna be this sharp. I want to put on I want to throw on sweatpants. You know what I'm saying?
This street clothes. It's something that's thrown together. That's all, brother.
Okay, all right.
Ain't no doubt. My 3 sons clean.
Right.
My 3 sons.
Right.
Yeah,
different color threads thrown together. That's all.
So now with this business though, man, I know I guess we'll just jump right on into it, man. First off, how has 2020 been for you? Like, what differences have it been from all the other years prior to this?
Wow.
And how long you been doing it? So we got a couple questions in one.
That's
how
right.
long you been doing it? How has 2020 changed the way you view it?
Right.
And how is 2021 looking?
All right. So I've been in the funeral profession. Like I said, I've been around it literally my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had, other than digging graves, I worked my first funeral at the age of 10.
Mm.
So I've had hands-on. I'm 40 years old now, so I've been in, hands-on for 30 years. So, the business is new, but I'm not new. I'm young in age, but I'm old in the business.
It's a long time.
Right.
To the two.
Right, exactly. I've seen a lot, been around a lot, learned a lot. And then as far as the changes in 2020, they were very significant, brother. I never thought it would come to the point where you would have to limit the amount of people that attended the service, limit the amount of people that attended the visitation. At one point, no more than 10 people could attend the service, and that was very hard for the families. And it was very hard for us having to explain it to the families because, even though it was mandated by the government, but people, they didn't really want to hear that.
Now when it come down to a deal.
Right. So that changed, and then, as far as in the African-American community, we're very accustomed to family cars. Well, we had to cut the use of family cars out because we could keep people separated in the car, and, it's easily spread, and to this day, we still aren't using our family cars because, it can still easily spread. And I can say from personal experience, personally in my family, my mom, my sister, and my niece and my great niece, they all recently contracted COVID, and thank God they're good now. But my mom and all them, they got it together from being in the car together. So it'll be selfish of me to try to make more money on a family car when I know it's a greater risk that
Exactly.
it doesn't make sense. So I'm not using them until this is over with, for everyone's safety,
Yeah.
And then just having to wear the mask and what have you. 2020 has changed significantly. I never thought it would come to the day where we see things such as this. 2021, it's still pretty much the same. Good thing about it is I think we're starting to see a decrease in the deaths. I don't know if it's just something for this little short period of time. Hopefully, it will go back to normal. But that's another thing with 2020. The death rate increased significantly. So you have where you still want to provide quality service, but your numbers have increased. And then at the same time, by insurance company no longer working at the corporate office, they're working at home. So it has slowed the process of processing the insurance down. With the death certificates, it slowed the process of the death certificates being processed because the death rate increasing you look at this increase of business, but still the same amount of personnel. And another thing that has to be understood, even if you hire more people, still they have to go through a training period. So it's not like they go jump in and just get it, like that. So
like in other jobs.
Right, exactly. So that has been a major change, and the casket companies and the vault companies, they've been experiencing shortages. Will tell you how bad it got when it first hit in New York and Detroit was just out of sight. The president of one of the largest casket companies in the United States, he himself was out delivering caskets. So that let you know how bad it got.
Yeah, man.
So right. The president himself had to suck it up and get out there and help everybody else. So
Roll the sleeves.
right, exactly. So it's been a major change, man. It has, brother. It has.
Yeah, that's interesting, now, man. So what about? All right. So I know you said it's been an increase in the funerals and all.
Right.
What about cremation? Has it been an increase in cremation, considering if the folks died of COVID?
I would say it's been an increase in cremation only because of the death rate. But you have a few funeral homes that aren't embalming COVID cases. I am embalming COVID cases because I'm, known as one in the funeral profession as one of the main embalmers around here, and it's hard to me to just tell a family, hey, you cannot see your loved ones; they have to be cremated.
Yeah, be cremated.
So even before COVID, anytime you embalm a body, you're putting your life on the line every time, because you never know everything that person has, and even if you do know everything that the person has, mistakes happen. Yeah. So you can easily slip up and stick yourself with the needle, a razor, or what have you while you're back there, or even though you're fully dressed in your suit, splashes can take place or what have you. So you're putting yourself on the line every time. So, especially when COVID came out, we didn't know everything there was to know about it. Mm-hmm. And but I took the risk, sucked it up, dressed in my protective equipment gear as usual, and embalmed COVID bodies to make sure the family could have the opportunity to see their loved one last time. And I can say I'm grateful to God that I have not tested positive at all. I've had several COVID tests, I have not tested positive. So, it's just so the cremation rate has not,
Well, see, because I thought it was. I know every time I look across the street, the ceiling be smoking. I'm like, Dante Jelks done turned the oven on over there, man. We be looking out there like, I don't know if it's chicken or humans, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know it ain't no chicken.
I know it ain't no chicken in that old fume on.
Well, when I want good food, I come over here when they cooking on Saturdays over here at Minnie Mac,
Okay.
Big Claw Barbecue.
That's it. They'll hook you up.
King Kitchen, all that.
That's it. That is it.
That's what's up.
Man, I tell you what, I've had some experiences, and man, from my childhood was different from yours. I went to a preschool that was at a church. So I remember having to go to the funerals at the church that was held at the church when we was in the preschool.
Wow.
They walked the students in the funeral like we knew the people.
Really?
But yeah. but today I cut hair. I'm a barber by trade, but I've cut a lot of hair of deceased, and it's almost like what I thought once was something to be afraid of is not so. You know what I'm saying? Not so bad now. You know what I'm saying?
It is not.
And even the first time I done it a few years back, the first time a client asked me to do it.
Right.
It didn't give me a feeling that I thought it would have gave me, even though I thought about it. But when I walked in, it was just like, but it's something to do, something to see,
Right.
A lot of people ask me, how you do it?
Right.
Yeah,
well, I look at it as
I do it all day, every day.
We do. And growing up in the profession is what I truly love. Because I be honest and transparent and say it publicly. If I didn't love it, nowhere in the world I would do it. Right. So because I love it, I do it, and I call deceased my babies. You take care of them. Treat them with respect. Sure. Make sure they, your
business period.
Right, exactly. They're respected.
That's every client get in my job.
Exactly, brother. And a lot of people ask, well, has anyone ever sit up on you or have you? No one has. I take care of thousands of individuals. No one has set up.
That.
Right.
Well, we was on our way out of that one, man. Since you said it.
Right. No.
They talking about that lab breath and all that. So you don't know any truth to it, or it's not any truth to it, or you just ain't seen it.
It's not any truth to it, Now, of course, scientifically, there may be air still caught in the trachea or what have you prior to the embalming process.
Not enough to sit up, though.
Right. I
don't know if I want to hear
it. Make it lighter, people.
I don't know if I want to hear that. I don't know if I want to hear that either now.
Well, it'd be a fart or a burp or whatever.
Right. Now, those things happen prior to embalming. They do. They do. But it's just, air caught in the trachea or what have you. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Does it make a sound?
Right, well...
It ever made a sound, like a voice sound?
No. Pretty much like Brother Ben Dizzy, like, oh, you might hear that.
Well, I'd have been asking you, where your 2 week notice? Hey, Joe, I need to sign and put these 2 weeks man.
Hey, we was all right. I don't want him dead now. I think, it ain't to the extent we thought, but that's enough, man. I don't want to hear that while I'm in no cutting no hair.
Oh, no, you won't hear it in
Then I usually know the people, so
right.
You know what I'm saying? When we do that, we usually know them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, man, no.
If it happened while you cutting that, they just make sure you still alert, that's all.
Get that out of boy. I come in there, Jeff. I ever come across that, please get that out of
You got a question on the line too, brother.
Sure.
All right,
You got
Shantae Powder, what's up, Shantae? How you doing? Appreciate you
What's
tuning
happening?
in. Make sure you like, watch, and share this too. All right, it say, what's the hardest funeral you had to prepare for? Did it make you second guess your profession? It's a good question too, Shantae. Oh, bro.
Yeah.
All the way from Alabama. We appreciate you tuning in.
Hello, Miss Dante, and thank you for that question. You know, I can't say there's necessarily been a hardest funeral that I've had to prepare for. You know, having a heart, you know, it hurts you to see families lose a loved one. It does, but you know, you pretty much have to be in the mindset of where that you have to make sure that the business, the necessities are taken care of for that family, because even though experience the death of a loved one, it is detrimental. But for me, why I can't really get involved, because I realize that family called me to provide a service to them. And at the end of the day, just real talk, either I provide that service and perfect that service the way they want it, or they're going to badmouth me because I didn't provide what they asked for, or I'm setting myself up for a possible lawsuit. So I can't really get involved emotionally, because I have to make sure that everything is executed for that family. So first of all, they have had you know, a pleasant experience with their loved one. I have provided what they wanted, and everything is in order, and they can help, and that's a part of helping them with the healing process. So for me, it's not a matter of it's just strictly business, but it's a ministry to where I have to put myself aside, my emotions aside, and make sure I perfect those services for that family, so it can help them with their healing process. So I can't really say there's been one that has made me second guess myself. I will say this much in reference to the question: morals and ethics are different today than they once were. When it came to a funeral, people used to be more respectful, and they were not as quick to verbalize their feelings or their emotions, whereas now, unfortunately, sometimes it's like WWE Royal Rumble, so to speak.
So funerals done got to a point where they cutting up in funerals that
They
bad,
have, yeah, unfortunately, they've gotten rowdy. You know, unfortunately, you have close family members at odds, and it comes out something might have happened years ago, and it come up, or if
There's a touchy subject.
right, it is, and you dealing with a lot of emotions, and if you know, one is not the beneficiary like they thought they were, or not over the money, or
I was
nothing.
about to ask you that. You think that's in reference to money? In most cases.
You know, I always say, if you really want to know how much you were worth during your lifetime, observe how people react after you die.
Yeah.
And you know, if were they more concerned about you and you being a part of their life, or are they more concerned about what they could gain from the possessions that you possess? Right, and you leave exactly.
Goodness gracious.
And it's sad to say that, but we're seeing a lot of what can I get out of the situation, you know, and this
I ain't studying them folks.
right. Not thinking about going to ground, and you know, not thinking about, you know, after the death of this loved one, hey, we're still family. We need to grow closer and closer to one another. Now, not every family is like that, but I can tell you, out from being in the profession, hands-on for 30 years, I have seen a major change to where you pretty much have to play the referee now as well as the funeral director.
Wow.
You know, unfortunately, I hate to say that, but it's being transparent and being real.
Yeah.
So all right. So if somebody get to cutting up at a funeral,
Yes, sir.
can you stop it? Like, hey man, look, we're gonna drop this body off and no more service, or how do you handle that?
Well, if it gets out of hand, we, you know, first call the law officials, and then as a funeral director, funeral directing is, first of all, you know, funeral directing that's a part of it. Make sure that, you know, that body is safe and that family is safe, but ultimately by the rules and regulations that we're governed by, make sure that, you know, the body is safe. So if we get to that point, we can stop a service. Not that you want to, and you know, Lord knows I hate to have to do anything like that, because I want every family right.
That puts you in a tough position.
It does, brother. It does, because you know, my thing is, I want the best for every family that we're blessed to serve. Not just that we're blessed to serve, that other families that choose other funeral homes, I want the best for them Because this is part of their healing process. But there are times when you have to step in and just, in a kind manner, put your foot down in order to, kind of ease the situation.
Yeah. Man, it's tough, man. I know that this line of work, because I know one thing, me being a barber for, total of 27 years and 23 professionally, man, funeral costs come up a lot. Insurance come up a lot.
It does.
Now, unfortunately, man, it's a lot of us, some reason why they just do not believe in insurance. How important is insurance, and how much is the average funeral from cremations or traditional burial? Like, what, I guess, can you explain something?
Sure, exactly. That's a great question.
Tell these people how important it is to have it, man.
Now,
that's why all that crime become.
Right, exactly.
Old Dante had $7,900, 10 years out of somebody that died.
Right.
That got to be hard, man.
Exactly. Now, according to the National Funeral Directors Association, your average cost of a funeral, not including cemetery costs, according to them, is $8,000 to $10,000. That's not including cemetery costs, and when you get into limousines, they don't factor that in. So, it goes higher than that. Now, I can tell you, well-respected cemetery, over off of Martin Luther King Drive, I'm not gonna call the name. They keep it it's well kept.
Well kept,
right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Perpetual care, but grave opening and closing and the processing fee, you're looking at $5,115 for a burial over there. Now, that's not saying that's not the only cemetery, but it's a nice cemetery that a lot of people see.
Yeah.
So, and I will say this: you don't have a lot of individuals that keep costs low. Like, and I say, Dante's Funeral Home is known as an inexpensive funeral home that try to offer, that offer quality service at a, unbelievable price.
Yeah,
right. It is what it is. And so we keep it economical, but you got to keep in mind, even in trying to keep it economical, prices go up every year. Because at the end of the day, right. We had, they had these large companies, so they have to get raised, like the casket company, the embalming fluid companies, vault companies, and even your own employees. So at the end of the day, if, I've had to where families have asked, well, Mr. Jelks, can you work with me? And I'm like, my funerals are already discounted compared to the average cost of today's funerals.
I can attest to that, man. I ain't gonna lie, you got the best prices.
Right, and I try to keep it fair. And the thing about it is, as much as it may hurt, I have to demand all that money be paid up front, because at the end of the day, my employees, they don't care if I have a heart or not. They want their money.
Yeah.
Alabama Power don't care if I have a heart or not. They want their money. Spire, they don't care because they want their money.
You gotta keep that oven running.
You're right.
Cremation oven running.
Right. I never forget what my godfather said. He said that he had several clients during his days of business that they were supposed to pay him, they promised to pay him, signed the paperwork to pay him, but they didn't honor the paperwork.
I can believe that, though, because you so emotional while it's happening, you'll make all kind of promises.
You
but
will, right.
Once that funeral over with, what's the incentive to come and pay Brother Jelks that
It's
money?
emotional for you. I'm at work.
Right. And that's the thing, And he said, he was delinquent with the casket company. So he was explaining to the casket company all these, promises that he had that the people didn't come pay, and the casket company told him this: well, I'm just, Mr. John Doe. Mm-hmm. We understand your the agreements you made with these families, and that's nice and kind. But the agreement between you and I was for the money to be paid at this time. Mm-hmm. Whatever agreement you made with those families, between you and those families, not us.
You're right.
And he said, I understand. He said, I paid them their money, and I dealt with the loss. And I say that to say, families think that, just funeral homes are just making a lot of money, everything. They don't realize it's a lot of factors a part of that money, so you don't get to keep all that money.
I can only imagine what you did as far as with the health regulations.
Right.
That's a big cost.
It is. State board, we have to pay, their fees annually for their inspections and to be in business, state, local taxes, just like any other business. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, families want to be able to come to a nice facility and ride in nice cars.
Yeah.
Those cost. right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Gotta be clean.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You know, this suit, you know, in order to look the part, it costs, you know.
Yeah.
And when I'm, you know, on the weekends where we're working, where everybody else may be off with their families or whatever, or in the holidays, or like I've had to get up for my birthday dinner to go serve a family because I got a call, all that cost.
Yeah. You're right. You sure right. Hey, I don't think people really consider that because when somebody die, I think people sometimes feel like everybody feel the same way. Now it sound cold, but like Sam said, you at work.
Right.
Hey man, what you want me to do with this fella here? You want this casket and that casket, or we can take you to this room where we got the gold handles, or we can take it out with them little short boxes.
Right, because at the end of the day, after said and done, when the tears, my professor used to say it when I was at Jefferson State, he said when the tears dry up, then that's when the families want to be strictly business. When at the same time you're serving and you have a heart, but you're strictly business throughout the whole process because you understand when the tears dry up, if it was right or wrong, they're either going to give you praise or they're going to give you grief, and you might be in somebody's courtroom because it wasn't how they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So, ain't gonna pay no bills.
Right, exactly. It's nice to get a smile, it's nice to get a hug, it's nice to get a kiss, but I haven't seen it pay one bill.
Yeah. But you got to keep it professional though, man. You got to, because at the end of the day, like I said, you got a very professional staff over there.
Right. Thank you, brother.
And then I think that's your uncle or your cousin that be singing.
My brother.
Yeah. He look like he ain't taking a show.
Right.
He'd be like, welcome to Dante Jelks. He got to get paid.
Right.
He gotta get paid.
Exactly, brother. Exactly.
Man. Let me ask you though, what process from beginning to the end?
Sure.
I mean, because we know it's happened, but just, you know what I'm saying, you don't hear it, you don't know the whole entire process without just hearing it all the way out.
Right.
So y'all get the call, or the coroner gets the call, and what happens from that point till y'all get the body or the body at the hospital, then y'all, or how's the process go?
Good question. So what takes place, most of the time a family will reach out to the funeral home and explain, my loved one is transitioning or has transitioned. And, now because, like say, unfortunately, a lot of people don't have insurance, most of them want to know what are the costs associated with the service.
First question I'll talk. So at this point, the body is with the coroner or the hospital or wherever it was transported to from the home, or wherever the person was injured or declared.
Well, no. Where they transition.
Yeah, where they transition. Yeah, I'm trying to find a soft word.
You gotta put the
Yeah, I'm looking for the word.
Right.
Transition.
I won't say pronounce.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Transition.
They
great
transition to their eternal peace.
T.I.
But yeah, so pretty much like say they make the call, and then they die at home. Most of the time they're under hospice care. The hospice service is going to give the funeral home a call, and we get the information from them concerning your loved one, vital information, and the doctor's information, because the doctor's information is very vital because they have to sign off on the death certificate too, which is how you end up being able to take care of your business and get your money if you have insurance.
Yeah. So y'all handle the death certificate.
Right. Right.
In full.
Right. Exactly. And then if the hospital called and then let us know.
The funeral home, that is.
Exactly. Hospital that call, we have Jane Doe who expired and the family wants to use the service. So we get the information down. Now keep in mind, that's another thing. Calls come in 24/7. They don't care, it can be 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Those calls come in, and you still have to jump up just like that and be professional.
First responder.
Right, exactly. So once that call comes in, we see where the body's located. If the body's in the care of the coroner's office, the family has to sign what's called an order release form. The purpose of that form is to make sure the body goes to the funeral home that the family chooses. Because prior to that form being in place, you had the definition of body snatchers, right? Right.
You told that sunset, we ain't got it.
Right, and that happened before that form came about, right? Yeah. So once the loved one is in our care, We call family and let them know that, because most of them, no matter what time of night, day it is, they want to know that their loved one is in your care. Yeah. So call to notify the family that the loved one is in our care, send out condolences, and ask them if they are considering direct cremation, or would they like their loved one to be embalmed. Mm-hmm. Reason that is important because before embalming a deceased individual, as long as that family is present, you have to get permission to take care of the embalming process. Yeah. Now, it's not law that an individual be embalmed because different religions do not believe in embalming, but you do have to get permission for that to take place. Once that takes place, you have the permission to embalm. You have to, document that information. The next morning when the office staff come in, they call that family to set up an arrangement conference. Mm-hmm. Arrangement conference where you get the vital information that's needed for the death certificate. You complete the Social Security Administration form. You talk in detail about the type of services that family would prefer, type of casket they want, type of burial vault they want, flowers, type of programs. If you want, they want a memorial DVD, balloons, doves. You talk about all those details. Mm-hmm. The location of the service, time of the service, location of burial. Make a call to the cemetery to secure an appointment for the family to choose that burial site. And then, last and finally, you discuss the method of payment of which the family like to take care of the service. So all that takes place at the arrangement conference. So that's, when they receive that call, we schedule that, and that's what we take care of during that time. During after that process, we try to keep it as simple as possible for the families. Only thing we need from them after that is pretty much information for the funeral program, and then the clothes for their loved one. Okay. And a lot of individuals, they don't know the size of the loved one, so we have to, instruct them about what size to, choose for their loved one, or their loved one probably has been in the hospital on the ventilator, what have you, which causes a little extra swelling, died from a traumatic situation, which causes a little swelling.
Yeah, to get a different size.
Right, exactly.
So caskets do come in different sizes.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I know you got some for like real tall people, but I thought it was like somewhat like a one size fit all. Yeah, basic size. So,
and that's another thing. Even though we have set prices, we also notify families if your loved one, does not, fit in the standard size casket. There is an increase in cost because of the larger size caskets. As you can see, you two gentlemen, y'all look pretty fit, and I look like I've been enjoying a lot of meals, so I'm not gonna go to the same casket as y'all. So
it gets in one now.
Right. So like they just say they ain't got enough money. You can't just turn them sideways.
You know what? I would not do that. But I have worked for a funeral home.
Oh no!
Stop.
He's a very shrewd businessman.
Turn him sideways.
And he got upset with his family. They didn't have the money. He's expensive too, babe. They didn't have the money, and so he made me turn the man sideways when I worked for him. He made me turn the man sideways.
Well, I bet that was so funny at the funeral.
Right.
So like he was
in the casket. Right. I see you coming. I see you right. Yeah. That was.
I say I ain't seen that one.
Right.
I say that I ain't seen that one.
Right. And so
he must have been pretty short.
Oh, if you're $1 short, he doesn't care.
Right. Like he's for real.
Right.
So who made the decision to call us in? Like just because we understand that the funeral home will cut your hair.
Right.
But because you have family, is that at the family's request, or do some funeral homes not let?
Some funerals don't let outside vendors come in. Mm-hmm. Now, we try to keep it as fair as possible, so we allow outside hairstylists, outside barbers to come in. Mm-hmm. Because you might have been cutting, John Doe hair for 30 years. Right, right. And I've had it to where it's been personal to individuals. If they love their nephew or son or what have you, and they wanted to do that, and from what we've been taught, and it's true, that's part of the healing process for that individual. Because we all grieve differently, so we allow different barbers and different hairstyles to come in, because at the end of the day, it's not about us; it's about that family. Yeah, we just have to do everything according to the rules and regulations that we're governed by to keep ourselves protected in order to provide the service that you request or what have you.
So rendering service.
Right, exactly.
You want your own hairstyle as a barber? Your choice.
Exactly, brother. Exactly.
Hey, you're watching Barbershop Stories, the podcast, episode 65. We got Dante Jelks with Dante Jelks Funeral Home right across the street from the barbershop. It's better to be seen than not
Caddy
viewed.
corner.
So, hey, turn you sideways isn't necessary. You got a question, K1?
Yeah, I got a question. Going back to when y'all talking about turning the body sideways, what's the longest you ever had to hold the body for non-payment, or if you had to do something else?
And what's the longest you can hold one?
Yeah. How long?
Both of them, answer both of them, please.
Yeah.
So the longest I myself have held a body a month. It was a month. The individual was thoroughly embalmed, and
That's a long time.
it is. But
Those some color change.
well, that goes back to the skill set of the embalmer and the fluid that they choose.
Okay.
Now,
I
if
ain't know there was no difference. I thought it was like all over 93.
Yeah.
I ain't know like 87, 93 is a jet.
Right. Yeah,
Embalming fluid is embalming fluid.
right, but
Until you doing that type of work.
exactly. And that's what makes a major difference. And I'll say this:
month.
yes, we provide economical services, more economical than most. But when it comes to, since my heart is in it, when it comes to the products, I spend a lot of money on the products to make sure that everything's in order and that you get, the best. Because my heart,
Best for the best price. You can't beat that.
right, exactly. Because I want families to be satisfied.
Quality.
I don't want them to come in and see, your loved one look like Homie the Clown with all the makeup
Right.
caked up. Right.
People appreciate that too.
Right. Exactly.
People appreciate that most from funerals. I think I see when you hear them talk about, oh, hey, little chest light. You know what I'm saying? People like that.
They do. So, and I say about a month, and the reason I held that long because I was giving the family the opportunity to at least try to come up with the money. Because at the end of the day, yes, we have rules and regulations to follow, but
You got a hard.
right. And I can express all the time, but deep inside, it hurts me to see family experience that. Because like I say, and I thank God for my mama and my dad. They both were hardworking individuals, but I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. And right, and things were not always the best financially. So I've been on that side to where I've been without for financially. Now we never went lacking with food or a roof over our head, anything of that nature. But for it as being able to come with thousands of dollars at one time, and that's another reason why I keep the prices economical because I understand,
Hey, give it up for one of our people in business, baby. Give it up. One of our people. No silver spoon, like you said, made away.
Right, exactly.
Very reputable business in this city.
Yeah, Dante Joe do a good
Try
job.
hard.
Like when we took my little cousin over there, that was the sharpest I ever seen his hair. I'm talking about Joe had that laid. He had it laid. I give it to him. He had all of it laid to him. So okay. But that's what's up though, man, that you still got people that got a heart.
Right.
What's the longest you can hold one though? Let's not forget that.
The longest I can hold one,
Without the embalming fluid and
Yeah.
spine.
Now,
Law-wise.
now, as long as we hold a body without it being embalmed, it's 48 hours. If a family has not made a decision within 48 hours, we have to go on and embalm that body and pass that charge on to the family.
Well, I mean, out of the ground, like, it ain't no funeral until such and such.
Well, if it get to that point, I try to hold anybody over a month. If it get to that point, I explain to the family we just need to, here in Jefferson County, you can't release the individual over into the county for a county burial. So they still can get a burial. It's just not a whole, funeral that we're traditionally used to.
Is it on the side of the freeway like they be saying?
It's
Grant. You ever heard that before? They say bury on the side of the freeway.
It's a cemetery up in
It's
It's cemetery up in Morris, Alabama, which is going up 65 northbound, and they do what's called a pauper's burial and a mass burial, to where they bury all the loved ones that cannot afford it financially or that do not have family members. And with that being said, that's another thing. A lot of individuals just say, when I die, just cremate me. Well, it's just not that easy.
Yeah, the family may not want that. Somebody in the family may not want that.
And according to law, unless you have a spouse or a single child or a single parent still living who is over that individual, if there are multiple children or multiple whatever next of kin, the majority have to sign off on that for that individual to be cremated. If the majority does not sign off, that individual cannot be cremated. They have to be buried.
Unless they got a will.
Yeah, what about
The will-
The will don't supersede
Still gotta be
that.
signed off on? Oh.
Because I know some people got requests where they say, my request or my last will and testament is to be cremated.
Right.
So the beneficiary made the decision.
Well, not so much the beneficiary. When you die, power of attorney, it goes out the door. Power of attorney dies with the individual because power of attorney exists because you're saying you're speaking on behalf of that individual.
Okay.
So when that individual dies, there's nothing to speak on behalf of them on because they're gone.
They're gone.
So it goes back to the next of kin according to the hierarchy of kinship.
That's who makes the call.
That's who makes the call. Only thing that will supersede if there's a military document.
Barbershop story.
Right.
That's an interesting fact.
Right. So we've had to where, an individual, they wanted to be cremated. Well, the thing that we see here a lot, and and I'm not judging anybody because it happens with all. During your young years, you out want to have fun, you with the ladies and what have you, may end up with a child. So that has happened a lot of times. Individuals had children, they didn't necessarily have a relationship with them, but because they had children and knowledge was known about those children, and those children didn't want to sign because they didn't have anything to do with the individual during their lifetime. If they don't sign, or the majority of them do not sign, that person still cannot be cremated.
That's something else. I didn't know that.
So
I thought if it was will, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason you can't,
just told me something new.
right.
Yeah.
The reason you can't because cremation is an irreversible process. Once that person is cremated, you can't go back to cannot go back to their natural state.
So that's what it's all hinged on, being an irreversible process.
Right,
That's
exactly.
interesting, though.
Exactly. Now you can
That
bury
was
that
word.
individual,
In the Zoom.
right? But because you can you zoom in, but other than that, you cannot cremate without the majority of the next of kin signature.
Signing off on.
All right, well, you got another question on here. All right, this question again is from Shantae
That's a
Patterson.
good one, too.
We appreciate this, Shantae. Shantae said, this may be a crazy question, but what about the family member that are unsure if a family member had insurance or not? Is there a system to search for a policy that existed on a deceased person?
Good
It ain't
question.
crazy at all. It
No,
ain't
no,
crazy.
no, no,
Ain't
no,
no
Not
no,
crazy
no.
at
no.
all. That's a great one.
Right.
We hadn't asked that.
Oh, burn.
Exactly. Please ask a question, and that's a great question. Now,
That's what it's all about.
exactly. Now, for the funeral home does not have a way of searching different insurance companies to see, other than just making phone calls to various insurance companies. And there's a lot of insurance companies out there. But as far as the just system where you can just type a person's name in that system and see if they have insurance, we cannot do that because that violates the person's privacy of knowing the information. Because, and another reason insurance companies are so strict on that in the Department of Insurance, because prior to rules and regulations being set in place, funeral directors, if they, in anything, there's a bad apple. And some people get greedy. So if they know about, hey, this person had insurance here, we can, that's money we can go after. If they didn't know about it, oh well, that's just money in our pocket. So, with the rules and regulations that are in place, funeral home just can't go in this system and search. Right. So that's another reason. That's another good question, not a crazy question. If you have insurance, or even if you are in the military, make sure you have your DD-214 and your insurance papers secured in one spot. And whoever,
Great information.
exactly, and whoever your beneficiary is, or whoever's
Discuss
going to be
this,
your
family.
service, right? Please discuss it. Have those conversations. People like we was talking about before we went live. People do not like to talk about death. Well, just as sure as you live, we're all going to die. I'm the funeral director in Embalming, but guess what? I have to die too. So,
It's on schedule.
right, exactly. So these are conversations that need to be had with who's ever going to, be over your service. It's very important. Not that they're going to try to kill you off anything. They just need to know this information, because I've seen it several times after taking care of several thousands of families. They don't know where the insurance information is located. They don't know what they're going to do. They don't know if they have the means to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Now we got another question from Alan Holmes. All right. He pretty much saying, if a family, let's just say, make a promise to you and say, okay, we'll agree to $800 for an example.
Mm-hmm.
They give you some of the money, and you go ahead and proceed with the funeral. What happens when they don't come up with the rest?
So
Do you sue them? Do you mess around and threaten the kid ass too? Hey, you be like, you know, you know I can kill you, right? And hide you. Like what?
that's a good question. Our policy is payment in full. Reason being is because you can't go on and have the service and not have the money up front. But I don't want to have to go through a point to where I'm suing the family.
Yeah, about that money.
Right. And then if I sue that family, that's going to create a bad name. Even though I'm in the right, but that's still going to create a bad name for the establishment in the community. You know, Dante Jelks, they over there suing people. They didn't have a heart. People don't look at it as, like we said before, it's a business.
Yeah.
They look at it as, you know, charity. You know, not everyone, but, you know, we have to get paid just like everybody else. We're working just like everybody else. So it's a business. And so that's why, you know, I don't let any services go without being paid in full. That's why I keep the services economical. Now, some funeral homes, they do. They charge much more than I do. They only get a percentage down, and they allow you to make payments. And if you don't make those payments, then they will pursue you legally.
Yeah, they'll sue you.
My godfather always mentored me to just never take that route.
Yeah.
You know, it'll cause a bad name in the community. And at the end of the day, yes, I'm, you know, maybe the owner of Dante Jelks Funeral Home, but without the public, there's no me. There's no Dante Jelks Funeral Home. So it's just best to coach that situation to where it's going to be less stressful on everybody.
Yep. Now I will say this. Now I got a good idea for you. If you did take payments and they ain't got your money, whoop up at their house in that funeral car. Don't whoop up in your regular car. Whoop up in the front of the house and get that man, get your brother Hussein, and just stand outside. I guarantee you get that money. So they know it's about to happen next. You whoop up in the car.
Now that has happened up north. You know, the funeral home got upset because he didn't get payment. So he did. He whooped up in the car and at their home and left their loved one on the porch and left.
Lay down.
Right.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. It's wrong, but it's fat though. You guys right leave that body sitting on the porch, boy.
Like that, remember that what that was on Twitter or something where they
Where you slam the dude. Yeah. Yeah, man. Now that had to be the funniest video online. I'm gonna have to search for that one.
I don't know if you'd have seen that one. That was hard, man. I'm talking the funeral director just took the bite out the casket out the back of the hers, like, y'all want him hard. Lose. Like,
slam, throw the bite out and single-handed.
I was like, man.
And I want to say this in reference to insurance, especially when you are young. Mm-hmm. Now, we all have everything that we like. We like our shoes. You know, women like their nails to be done, toes done, hair done, or what have you. Well, you can take $20, $30 term insurance, or I advise whole life insurance, or either doing a funeral pre-need, whichever one, whichever most
prepaying.
Right. Start putting that money towards that because I say we have to die, and it is not a good feeling. I can't speak for everybody else, but it's not a good feeling for me to sit up and have to tell a family we have to have this amount of money, and they have to come up with it. Right. Because, you know, at the end of the day, it's a business, and there are other factors that want their money. Please, you know, just some form of invest in insurance or something. Yeah.
Why do you say whole life over term?
Whole life over term because now, depending on what type of term. Now, I have a term insurance policy to where after a certain amount of years, they will refund me my premium.
Okay.
That's because, like I say, they've made their money off the investing that money. Mm-hmm. But some places do not refund your premium.
Anything, yeah.
And so the reason I say term because term is more economical than whole life.
Okay.
But it's best to have something. Now,
so you recommend term?
Well,
I
actually recommend whole life.
Okay.
But I say term if it's just you want to just have something.
Something economical.
Right.
You recommended it the economical route.
Right. In order to have something as opposed to nothing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people look at it as, I won't die till I get old. That's not true, because I've taken care of just about as many young people as I have those that were older individuals. So, and not just necessarily homicide, just natural causes. We never know. So I just recommend having something as opposed to nothing, because at the end of the day, funerals cost because there are other factors. And at the same time, as we all know, at the end of your year, when you work somewhere, you want to raise the next year, what have you, cost goes up. Whereas, back in the 70s, what have you, they had $300 and $400, $500 burial insurance policies, which were known as Liberty National and Brown Service policies, or Booker T. Washington policies. Well, you jump from the 70s to the 2020, 50 years later, where the average average cost of a funeral is $8,000 to $10,000, not including the cemetery. So that's a major jump.
Big difference.
And so just imagine you're dealing with the transition of your loved one, and you have to deal with the stress of trying to come up with money to either cremate them or bury them.
COVID regulation.
Right. Now, like say COVID regulation, and so that's a lot of stress to deal with.
It is.
That is a lot of stress to deal with, and it costs a lot of negative emotions to come out.
Yep.
And then there's hospital stuff about people not being able to, certain amount of people not being able to go in that hospital and all that. And most people, can't nobody go in there.
Right.
You can leave them at the door, and then you don't see them no more, and then next thing you know, you get the call.
Yeah.
And that's frustration from the jump. I'm sure all that rolled downhill to y'all.
Exactly, brother, and that is happening. And see, because COVID, we don't know all there is to know about COVID-19. It's not safe to view a body without it being embalmed. So, even if you are going to cremate, it's still recommended to embalm that body before anyone has
Contact.
Right. So there is a cost associated with that. Even if you are going to embalm, there is a cost, because when it comes to embalming, and I do my own embalming, unless I'm out of town, that equipment, those chemicals, they cost. The equipment that you have to use, it costs. Me being back there, even if I'm doing my own, still, I have to make a living. I have a family to take care of. Yeah. That costs too. So it's cost, right? Exactly. It's cost associated. As long as Brother Benny Mac has been blessed to have this place, y'all not just coming here cutting for free. Y'all have families to take care of. Right. Even if Brother Benny is cutting, he owns the shop, he's still cutting the hair and has a barber. Still, he has a family to take care of, just like you all. Like you say, respect. So, yeah, it's just, Yep. Please have something in place.
You got another question on here.
Sure.
You got Ann C. Life Schneed. All right, Ann said, if a person dies and two family members have burial insurance, can the price be divided between both policyholders?
That is a good question, and that can take place. What would happen is, it is a great question. So the process works is you have claimant forms and you have assignment forms. The purpose of the claimant form is to, give the insurance company permission to process that claim. The assignment form, the purpose of that is to say, hey, I agree to pay ABC Funeral Home this amount of money, and only that amount of money, and the rest comes directly from the insurance company to the beneficiary. So if that takes place, you can split the funeral bill. One can do an assignment for this said amount of money, and the other can do an assignment on this, for this said amount of money with the different insurance companies, and it can be split that way. So that's a good question, and that can be done.
Okay. What else was happening? Well, we ain't gonna hold you up too much.
No,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, because I know it's a couple folk that in Birmingham been on fire lately, so
no.
we ain't gonna hold you up too long.
It's all good, brother. I'm always in good company with y'all, so it's all good.
We appreciate you taking the time out to come through. So before you leave, though, man,
yes, sir.
Tell them who you are, how to get in touch with you if they need your services. And I tell you this, he low cost, and he definitely take care of your family, man. There's a couple of them I done sent over there, unfortunately, but fortunately, I was in a position to be able to let it transition smoothly.
That's
true. Man.
That's true.
So tell them a little information on how to get in touch with you if they ever need your services, man.
Sure. So I'm Dante Jelks of Dante Jelks Funeral Home. If you ever see me, don't call me Mr. Jelks. I'm just Dante. The address for the funeral home is 4904 First Avenue North, Birmingham, Alabama 35222. Contact number is 205-595-0111. Or if you want to email, the email is at jelksfuneralhome@gmail.com. Just call, ask for Dante. If I'm not there, just leave a message and I'll be sure to get back with you. And we just believe in taking good, yeah, exactly, in Woodlawn. Right. And on First Avenue North, great community. We just believe in taking quality care of our families and just making sure that they receive the best of care at economical cost. And hey, we just common people taking good care of people.
Hey, well, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. Hey, this has been a great episode of Barbershop Stories Podcast, episode 65. And of course, let me run a few commercials before we move on. Mm-hmm. Hey, make sure you check us out tomorrow at the Stardome. That's Thursday, February the 11th. And the show is called Before All That Love Sheet. SHEET. Yeah, make sure you come through there. The tickets are $15. You can get them at stardome.com. Or you can just go by and still go and get them in person. But it's stardome.com, tickets $15. You got J.R. Brown, got D. Anthony Turner, then you got myself, comedic narrator, haircut slanger, Benny Mac, and you got my homie Eric Biggie Johnson. He's hosting. So make sure you check that out. And also stay tuned in to V94.9 Home Team Morning Show.
Home Team.
And then make sure you check out Chris with the Think Tank. Make sure you check out Local Later Woo. Make sure you check out Sturdy and also Ron Marshall and my homie Big Roe Williams, man. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned in. And we are also a real live barbershop. Check out Sam, check out Corey, and check out King, and check out myself. Once again, I'm just Benny Mac here. And then y'all check us out, man. We appreciate your business. We're located at 4831 First Avenue North. That's Birmingham, Alabama 35222. Or visit us online at BennyMaxOnFirst.com, or those names I just named, you can check out their Facebook page. We're open 7 days a week. Walk-ins welcome. Appointments are available, man. Hey, we'll see you next week. We got LaShondra Scales, episode 66. Make sure you tune in. Yeah, and shout out to K1Z Lands Media. I can't forget about the home of that, man.
Hold tight before we wrap up. One more question for Mr. Jeff going out the door.
Yeah, my fault. That was too quick.
One more question. No, hey, you right on time. Property disputes. Waiting. Okay, just say you have property disputes going on after death.
All right.
Normally, you have to wait on that death certificate. Is there anything you can do before that death certificate comes, but if that person hasn't willed this property to anybody or anything of that nature?
Probably the only thing that you'll be able to do prior to the death certificate is go to probate court.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Other than that,
exactly.
That's it.
I got you. Well, I just wanted to get that question in where I was holding on to that, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, no.
But at the same time, like Benny said, hey, it was a good episode. Keep some info for you, man. Mr. Jelks been great, man, and it's a wrap.
All right, it's on. Oh, yeah. Natasha, he do offer prepaid services, too.
We do.
All right, hey, we'll see you, man. Make sure you replay
What's
this.
up?
Make sure you share it, like it, and make sure you follow us on all social media, man. We appreciate y'all. Barbershop Story, the podcast, episode 65, Dante Jelks, talking about that funeral home business. So, yeah.
Somebody got to talk about it. Some more time.